Hi, I'm Gayla. After 20 years of climbing the corporate ladder, I took the leap and started my own business to pursue my dream of creating a work-from-anywhere lifestyle. Having the freedom to work from practically anywhere is such a cool feeling. You're in the right place if you're looking for ideas and inspiration to start and grow your own online business. Every week in this podcast, you'll receive practical ideas, hints, tips, and tricks to help you grow your online business where you can leverage your time and you can accomplish more. You too can experience wonderful adventure and freedom as you live life on your own terms. Hi there, and welcome to the show today. I am so glad that you're here because today I'm bringing on Sharon Snow. She's my guest, and I have mentioned Sharon more than once before on this show because Sharon is a Scrivener Solutions virtual assistant and does all of our social media for our clients and our company. But she also has her own online work-from-anywhere business that she's growing right now. And I've been talking a lot about different ways to break out of the 9-to-5 regular day job grind, and even have a little free download called 20 Work From Anywhere Job List to get your ideas churning. And you can grab your copy at gaylascrivener.com/job list. And I guess over the past several months, I've become more and more passionate about talking about work from anywhere opportunities, probably because I've had on more than one occasion have had conversations with people who fall into one of these categories. First, it may be someone who is so miserable in their current 9-to-5 job, but feels trapped. Maybe they feel trapped that they can't risk quitting their job because they've got to put their kids through school, or they've got to keep insurance, or, you've got to have a certain amount of family income to simply pay the bills. And maybe all they know is working for someone else and punching in on that clock, and they don't have any role models in their life and around them to even know how to be an entrepreneur. Or I've got some folks that doesn't necessarily dislike their job, but they're thinking ahead and they want to do something different than what they've been doing for so many years. And maybe they want to retire from their career that they've had forever, but they want to travel around when they retire. Maybe they want to travel in their RV around the country, but they know that they'll need some extra income. And they wonder how they can kind of transition into that lifestyle. And then I have some people who I've had conversations with who is spending time at home raising their kids, but they want something for themselves. They want to grow something and earn a living for themselves, but still be at home and grow a business in a steady way so that when the kids are big enough, maybe they can really scale and just figure out what they like and grow that business. And then the last type of person, or this category, that I've noticed in conversations are folks who have had a brick and mortar business and have seen success, but is tired of being tied down. Or they've been working one-on-one with folks as maybe a consultant, a coach, or any other type of service provider, and they're questioning how they could transition their knowledge to scale their business and achieve more freedom in their work life. Well, since I've been getting so many downloads for the 20 Work From Anywhere job ideas, I thought it would be a good idea to bring Sharon onto the show and let her share her work from anywhere career, what it is, how she works it, what inspires her, the challenges she has. So without further ado, let's get right into the interview. Hey, Sharon, I'm so glad you're here.
Hello, me too. Thanks for inviting me.
You've been on the show before, and I've mentioned you many, many times because you're in charge of social media management
on the Scrivener Solutions team. You also do a ton of other things, but primarily we've got you doing social media. You're my social media magic lady. So, but
Yeah.
you're also growing your very own work from anywhere business on the side. What is that business?
It is an independent contractor travel agent business. I work as a travel agent booking people's dream vacations.
That is awesome. Sounds exciting. But before we get too far, share with our listeners a little bit about yourself.
I started as an agent, travel agent, in a brick and mortar store in 1989. Might be a little telling, but I loved it. I went into travel school. It's travel and tourism school in Miami, Florida, immediately out of high school. I spent 2 years there, and once I was done, I moved back to Springfield and worked as an agent in a little tiny family-owned business where they encouraged my travel. If I wanted to go somewhere, they saw that it happened. And they thought that the more experience I had in traveling myself, the better agent I would be for my client, which I think is true. And
So
it was
you
a
were
wonderful experience.
so you were in your early to mid 20s when you started?
I was 19 when I started. I was
19.
2 months from turning 20. And they saw that I had some education, but I didn't have the experience. So they gave me a chance, and they were a wonderful agency. They were very tiny. I was the fifth person in the office, and I was the only person not related to them.
Wow.
But they really encouraged me and helped me see the world. For my first anniversary present with them, they gave me a free trip to Holland, France, Belgium, and Germany.
Holy cow.
I know.
My daughter's 26, and I just can't imagine her just going all over the world like that, and she's older
Yeah,
than you were back then.
yeah. It probably freaked my parents out, but they were extremely supportive. And I lived at home at the time. After I came back from college in Miami, I moved back home and then got my job. And as a travel agent in a brick and mortar, especially, we didn't make very much money. I made minimum wage, which was $3.35 an hour.
Wow.
Made it hard to travel. But there were great discounts back then. That was before 9/11 and everything had changed.
So back then, you were an employee of this travel agency and so you worked per hour, I'm taking.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and you had gotten out of being a travel agent. How come?
Well, once my second little boy came along, it was way too difficult to be on the phone. And by the time before Henry came along, I was working as an independent agent for Great Southern from my home.
So you moved.
Yeah. And it's very hectic, actually, being a travel agent. There is a lot of on the phone time. And it was just too hard with two little guys wanting my attention all the time. And I felt very guilty spending all that time in front of a computer and on the phone and not with them. So I took some time off. And now that they're big enough where they don't need my attention every moment, I decided to go back last year, but also independent. I work from home. So.
Well, how did that change, going back from being an employee, then you went to work for Great Southern, but you worked as an independent agent for them?
I worked 10 years. Great. I worked 10 years inside Great Southern as an inside employee in their offices. And then it got to where I needed to be home. And they graciously allowed me to just set up an office and work from home.
Well, that was during a time that remote work wasn't really in fashion.
Pretty unheard of. Yeah.
It was
unheard of.
Yeah, it was very. What year was that ish?
Let's see.
Is that in the 90s?
Well, it was 2002 actually.
Mm-hmm.
It was right after 9/11 that
Oh, I see.
that it happened. That's when I got pregnant with Henry
Mm-hmm.
and decided that I wanted to be at home. I also had other kids in the house, older kids that wanted to be with them because we lived so far from my office. And they allowed me to do so, just as long as they knew I was working, they were happy. They could get me on the first ring and everything was cool. So it was nice that they trusted me to do so and allowed me, that freedom.
Yeah, so you got a taste of working from home years ago,
Mm-hmm.
which
And
was pretty much unheard of, and not very many people or companies trusted remote workers. But our industry or the workforce has changed so much in that time frame.
yes,
Because
yeah.
I know about that time frame. I was managing offices, and I did not care for or did not trust remote work. I didn't think it would be very conducive, but my mind had changed as technology had changed
Yes.
and everything. What is it like being a travel agent? Like, what's a day in the life of?
Well, I mentioned that it's a lot of phone time and a lot of computer time. Typically, when I get a call from a client and they want to say they want to go to an island in the Caribbean, they don't know very much about it, and they'll call me and they'll just say, "This is what I want." I typically spend about 5 hours of research, beginning to end, with that client of getting their dream vacation booked. So I'll research maybe what islands might be best at the time of year that they want to travel. If they have kids going with them, which one are kids friendly, what the weather might be like, because that can play a big factor in a dream vacation. You don't want to go when it's the rainy season or a hurricane season, which is difficult to miss because it's June through November. But it's a lot of research, a lot of finding out about the client themselves. If I don't know them or haven't known them, like some of them I do know, I've known for years. If they're kind of new to me, I have to do a lot of research for them, about them, what they like to do, whether they're active or they just want to sit on the beach and relax. So for me, it's a lot of research. And then the booking comes very much later on. A lot of people think, you just pick up the phone and you book and you're done. But there's really a whole lot of groundwork ahead of time.
Well, then what's it like working with a travel agent? Well, let me back up a little bit. How has the industry changed from when you started to now? I would expect,
Well,
especially after 9/11, but
yeah.
how has the industry changed?
Even before that, when I started in '89, we were still handwriting airline tickets. There was no internet. There were computers that showed departure time and flight time and the airline number. And we had to tap into that and then handwrite on carbon copied tickets, which is crazy,
Wow.
to
Yeah.
think about. Yeah. It wasn't until the mid 90s that it became automated and we printed tickets, early to mid 90s. And very different rules and regulations even. Airlines had lounges on them. They had an upstairs where you could just go and hang out.
Oh, wow.
And now if you get out of your seat, they come unglued, So the security has changed, but the whole business itself has changed quite a bit, which is good and bad. There was a lot of benefits as an agent in the early days. Every 10 tickets that you would sell on an airline, they would give your agency a free one to encourage your employees to travel and to use that airline, so you would be happy with the airline and recommend them. Now there are no free ones. And they don't even pay a travel agent commission. So agents, when they book airlines, they do tend to charge a fee which is different. We had never done that in the past on anything, but I know my home office does that. They do have to charge a fee to make it worth the agent's time to book the airlines. So
So
that has changed.
in the past, there was no charge for the consumer to use a travel agent.
Exactly. They could just call and, ask their questions, and there was never any fee involved. After 9/11, airlines tightened their belts and increased their fees quite a bit on their airline tickets. They also decided at that time they were no longer going to pay a travel agent's commission. In the past, that was how a travel agent made money.
Mm-hmm.
The airlines would give back to the agencies anywhere from 5 to 10% of the airline fee minus the taxes. Well, now they don't do that at all. So to stay in business, the travel agencies do charge a fee to process an airline ticket, but only the airline tickets. If you book a cruise or a tour or a hotel or car, there are no fees involved. And if you call the agency to book a vacation and there's air and a hotel involved, they waive the air fee, or most of them do, I should say. I know my agency does, and I don't charge a fee at all for my customers. Most of them I've had nearly 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
I can't bring myself to do that. And I spend a lot of time where I don't get reimbursed for some of that, but also I'm building my business again, and I want those clients to be happy, and I want them to use me.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can, just by what you're saying so far, working with a travel agent and doing the research alone is such a huge time savings, because with all the ads and commercials and everything with do-it-yourself booking travel, I mean, that's your biggest competition. But working with a travel agent that does all the research to know when hurricane season is and to know when the best time of year for particular parts of the world and what cool things to explore. I whatever fee is charged by a travel agency, I would think that would be well worth it, because a minimum of 5 hours in research, that's something that I wouldn't want to do. I don't have time for that.
Yeah, I do get pretty much 1 to 2 people every single day saying, I'm done. I'm throwing my hands up. You take over, please. Because I've spent, 3 days trying to do this, or, however many hours trying to look up this. And I get sidetracked or I get lost and I don't know, which hotel, I don't know which company to trust. And I get a lot of that every day. There is so much information and so many companies. It is overwhelming if you don't know it or aren't familiar with it.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Using a travel agent is easy, I would think. People that have used me over the years, they just call and say, this is what I want to do, when I want to do it. You just tell me what's best priced and let me know when I need to pay. And for those that are used to me, that's, they're very happy to do that.
Well, I think that it's important that what I'm hearing is that you have these long and deep relationships with folks, and people that you had worked with 30 years ago and now you're doing it again. They've come back because you have that long-term relationship with them. And I would think that, that streamlines things for you because you know their preferences. It also streamlines things for them because they don't have to express their preferences. So finding a travel agent that, you also work as a virtual assistant with the Scrivener Solutions team, and I think that it's very important to form a relationship for long-term benefits. it's the same thing with as a travel agent. You don't want a travel agent hop because you have to start over again. You want if you're one to travel and you're a busy professional, you might as well find and form a relationship with a travel agent so that it just makes it easy. You just pick up the phone. I've got to go to Toronto again. You know who I'm talking about.
I want to stay at the same place as last time.
Mm-hmm.
I want the same size of car as last time. Please book it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wonderful client. And he is used to just having things done and taken care of and move on to his next business trip that he has to do.
Yeah. So
it is a great benefit, to those that need their time focused elsewhere.
And Robert and I travel quite a bit, but we don't use our type of travel is more nomadic and in a vehicle. And but that is going to be a little different sometimes because we're flexible. So I'm super glad that you know the ins and outs because I don't want to have to find things.
Yeah. And that's, I do have a lot of clients that want to plan their own trip. They want to drive. But then when it comes to booking certain areas, I do have 2 couples going to the Grand Canyon next month.
Mm-hmm.
And they're driving. And they want a lot of flexibility in their trip, but they also wanted some advice. When I'm here, what do you recommend? And can we book this one night because I want to be near the Grand Canyon, and that stuff books up months and months, sometimes years in advance. So we were able to do that, just booking 1 or 2 hotels for them, and the rest of their trip is up to them, and that's how they wanted it. And I'm perfectly fine with doing something like that for people.
And finding tours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they wanted to do a river raft through the Grand Canyon on the Colorado River, and then they're going to helicopter out so they don't have to climb back up all that steep way. They're my age and older, and they're like, not doing that. I'm not riding a donkey back up. I just want to helicopter out. Great tour and a great tour company. I've actually used them for probably 10 years now, this particular tour company, and they didn't even know that was an option until I had talked to them about it. So they're super excited about their trip coming up next month.
That is amazing. I love it. Now,
I do
Sharon,
too.
well, Sharon, what is your biggest challenge in starting and growing your work from anywhere business? Because you got back into this about a year ago.
I did. Last year, August, I started back, and I had a lot of friends. Hey, I'm super excited. I need to go here, but that wasn't like my regular business. It wasn't enough to pay the bills. It was awesome, that they came back and used me, or that some of them, it was the first time they had used me. I advertised on Facebook. I ran a little ad for about a week, letting people know I was back doing it. And that kind of jump-started it, which was great. But I didn't really feel the effects of my continual social media posts for about 10 months. And that's when it turned into a more solid business. I don't know that was a challenge. I mean, if that were my only source of income, that would have definitely been a challenge. And I might have freaked out more than I did in between.
So what I'm hearing is that your continual efforts, you have to hang in there for a little while, be consistent at it, and then you reap the rewards. And for you, it took about 10 months.
Yeah, I had some income and some people contacting me to book travel, but it really wasn't a steady flow of income until about 10 months. But I built a website, as you know, you helped me. I did my blogs, and I was very consistent for that up until about 10 months. And then I got too busy to keep on top of it, which I, may have to look at help there. But that's the great thing in growing. I just stayed steady. I just kept on posting, and I would post good deals, and I would post, things relevant to travel, just trying to let people know I'm here.
And that's what you have to
And
do.
that's
No
what
one
people,
knows. No one knows until you
hmm
stick your neck out there.
exactly,
And it takes more than
exactly.
just one post.
Oh, yes. I did an everyday post, which I don't always do for some of our clients, but I did a Saturday and Sunday also as well.
Hmm.
You know, just reminding people, and not always all business, but just letting them know I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Now, what's your biggest reward?
I love hearing about people's trips. When they're done, I want to hear all of it, good, bad, ugly, whatever. But most of them, you know, they want to share. Hey, I did this. I went to this little restaurant you recommended and it was awesome. Or this hotel wasn't quite what I hoped it would be. You know, any of that. But I love hearing their experiences. Those experiences help me with the next client going to the same place. So I look at it as, you know, kind of a training, a learning opportunity. But when they are radiating happiness about their trip, that makes me ecstatic. I love that more than anything.
Yeah,
So that's the big reward.
that would be fun. I mean, then you hear, even if you didn't go, you get to hear about the experience.
hmm
You can kind of live
Yeah,
vicariously through them.
I do, and I always tell them that. I say I want to see your pictures. I want to hear, you know, everything, even if it was not good. I want to hear that so I can learn also. I can't be everywhere in the world at once, and it's a giant world. I would love to see it all. I've seen a lot, but not all.
Here's an
And
idea.
listening to them. Mm.
Here's an idea. If some of your clients are willing to uh, do a little podcast with you, do a little recording when they're radiating their enthusiasm, or you could write down some notes and ask permission to do that. Share one of their pictures or two of their pictures in a blog post of yours.
Yeah, I have thought about that.
Yeah,
I think that would be kind of cool. That is a great idea.
I think
I
that.
hadn't thought podcast, but I
Well, you could get a
that's
little
cool.
recording, and you could write a script or a blog post from the recording and have snippets. I mean, there's just little ideas. I know for me, I would enjoy listening to somebody else's trip. It'd get me all enthused to want to travel.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I like that a lot.
We're gonna have to. We'll talk offline with that. That's exciting.
Exactly.
But
Great job.
being a solopreneur, I know from experience it seems lonely. What keeps you motivated?
Definitely my client's end result. Sometimes it is a little lonely, but I do spend a lot of my day on the phone or on the computer communicating with people. And I have an office, you know, 30 miles away from me if I need, and 30 miles away from most cities in the world. I mean,
Mhm.
they've got locations all over, but I don't feel so lonely or out adrift. Maybe that's my years in the business, or maybe it's that I'm on the phone a lot. I don't know, but what gets me going or gets me through it all is the end result for the client. I want them to have the easiest flight schedule, the easiest time getting their car and getting to the hotel, and from there being close to whatever it is they wanted to visit. Say they're flying into London. Well, you definitely don't need a car in London, and I want them to be close to a tube stop or whatever destination is that they're wanting to see and do. Maybe the Tower of London is their destination. So I would map that out for them. And I want it to be easy because travel can be stressful. And sometimes people really get their blood pressure up in a travel situation because they're out of control. And I want them to know step by step what to expect and
Oh, that
also
would be.
how to get here and how to do that. For me, that's what I want, because when I was younger and when I would travel, I was exceptionally carefree and it was a different world. And I would just go down the street and see what there is to see. But that's kind of a dangerous way to travel, especially as a young girl. but also with your family. And I know with my family, I would want, here's where this is, and here's how to get there, and here's how easy it is, and stay away from this area at night kind of information. So I look at booking my client's trip like I would book my own family.
That that is
Try to do
huge.
it that way.
Yeah, that is huge because even if it's the first time going out of the country, I mean, for
Mm-hmm.
me, that would be huge. I would say, okay, Sharon, I don't know. What should I
Yeah.
know about this particular country? And uh, especially if you've been there, your experiences
Yeah.
would be invaluable.
And with the internet, a lot of people think, well, it's easy, I can look it up myself. But often there's so many misleading companies or people that I do find a lot would rather not book it themselves, and they're a little more hesitant to do so. Even with Airbnbs, they're everywhere, and they're a great opportunity to travel cheap most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I do get a lot of clients that are afraid now because they might have had a bad ordeal with one. They felt unsafe in one, something like that. So I happily do the research for them. And if I haven't been there, sometimes I have a client in the past that had been there recently, and I can question them, or I know someone that lives there. The beauty of Facebook, I I can find friends most all over the world that way, which is handy for my clients too.
Absolutely. Yeah, for anybody that doesn't work with a travel agent and they're doing everything themselves, I can see that not tapping into the resources and the knowledge that someone like you has. Oh, goodness. But it takes someone that gets jazzed about travel and is okay with the research because, I mean, a great travel agent really cares about their clients like you do.
Yeah, I would say that's your number one thing. You really have to care about the client and their outcome. If you're just trying to book for money, it's going to be a whole different business for you. You're not going to, it's not massive amounts of money. It's more reward on the travel and the client side.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also so much research involved with it. Your pay per hour is taken down by that. For me, it's not about the money.
Well, and the longer that you do it, then you build your business, you reap the benefits.
Mm-hmm, definitely. Yeah.
What's your favorite resource or book that has really made a difference in growing your business?
Well, I would say the internet. And I know that's maybe not the direction you were headed in that, but I'm able to look up any vendor just about in the world and do a webinar with that company. In the past, I had used a particular company when booking the UK, Scotland, or Ireland. And when I came back last year, one of my friends said, I want to go to Ireland for my 50th birthday party, and I'm taking a bunch of girls with me. So I was able to go look up that vendor, take a webinar, and take a training test, and get right back into all that information and knowledge that I needed immediately. And most all vendors have that. If you are new to and you want to learn, Carnival Cruise it's a 3-week course, but by the end of that, you've got all the information you could ever want about Carnival Cruises. They even give you a certificate, and most any vendor in the travel industry has that, which is really awesome. And that wasn't available before the internet came along.
Wow,
So for my business, that's really awesome. Yeah.
That is so cool. So you at your fingertips, just with a little bit of search and a little bit of know-how, you can get the education you need to really get the information and serve your clients better and be that knowledge base, because not everybody can do that. So, or want to get that knowledge.
It is a little intense training, but it had been 16 years since I had been to Ireland. And I was telling them about my experiences, but I wanted to make sure that it was relatively the same or what had changed. So that webinar took me through, what I needed to know to tell them about going to Ireland today, which worked out great.
I had no idea. This is awesome. Uh,
Yay!
uh, do you have any advice that you would give to anyone who would like to be a travel agent? Because, in this podcast lately, especially, we've been talking about work from anywhere businesses, and we have a free download of 20 work from anywhere job ideas, and I'll have a link in the show notes. But there's so many different things. I mean, the internet, just as you said, has opened up the world to us that we can create careers and work from anywhere. So if you move anywhere else, or if you are on a month-long sabbatical or month-long trip, you can still work if you want to, or you can take time off if you want to, because the internet has opened up our world. And even starting a new career later in life after our kids have grown up, because that's what you and I both did. I mean, we started something new. You went back to travel agents when your boys grew up. I started my work from anywhere business when Megan graduated high school. So even we don't have to be young whippersnappers to start a business.
That's
But
right.
but the internet has really opened up our world. And do you have any advice that you would give to anyone that may be thinking about being a travel agent? Because that is a very viable work from anywhere type business.
Definitely. I can work from anywhere. Sometimes I get more calls when I'm out of town on my own little travels than during other times when I'm in my office. But there are many companies now that will hire you even without experience and allow you to do independent contractor for that travel agency, like vacationstogo.com. They will take you in. There is a fee, but they will do some basic training. So you know what the process is to book travel to help your clients. And then some people, I do know a few that are around that do it and do just book their own family trips to get a slight discount, which is kind of nice too. And it gives you the basic training that you would need. And then you can always go, like I was saying, with the webinars and learn more if you wanted to do more like that. There is a software fee involved, and I believe that's yearly with most of them. And it's not astronomical. It's in the upper 100, lower 200 range per year.
That's really reasonable.
And then you have then you have most of the tools right there. They give you some training, and then you have a home office to call to if you have questions or need some help. And then you're kind of on your own, which might suit some people just fine. They can, do whatever they want as far as booking their family or start it as a real business and really go gung-ho with it and get extra training. I would think it would suit a lot of people. Basically you have to have the interest to do it. But once you have that, it can be as flexible as you wish. It can be as busy as you wish and how much time you want to put into it, or it could be a little more low-key if you just wanted a little extra, or you just wanted the discounts for yourself. They're not as great as they used to be way back when, but they still do offer some travel agent discounts.
I think that's great advice, that you can ease into it at whatever level you'd like to.
Yeah. And as long as you aren't in it for the money, especially right away, it's slow building, like with any business. You're going to have to put some legwork into it first. But if you stick with it, the rewards aren't just monetary. They're really great, long-lasting relationships with a lot of people. And to me, that's what I missed when I was looking at doing something again. That's what I thought. Travel was deep in my heart, and I loved my clients. So it was an easy choice for me.
So if somebody has a regular 9 to 5 day job and they're thinking, hey, I really don't want to be here for, in the next 2, 3, 4 years. Maybe some people have a 5 year plan. They got started with something like this now.
Mm-hmm.
They have the opportunity to do this on the side and figure out the marketing, figure out the ins and outs of actually the most efficient way to travel, building a little clientele, because, like you said, right out of the gate, there's no business that's going to be earning you the same amount of money that you might get from a regular 9 to 5 job.
Exactly. Yeah, and now's the great time to get started, when you're in your 9 to 5, and then do a little of the work after hours or weekends. Put in your training with whatever company you decide to go with and work towards, finishing that. And then at the same time, marketing yourself or your business to try and
figuring
gain
out
some customers.
that. Just figuring out how to blog,
Exactly.
And not having the stress is like, oh my gosh, that's what my downfall, not my downfall, but what I regret is that I didn't start when I had my 9 to 5 job. I waited and then I was like, holy cow, I got to learn all of this, all the marketing, who the heck.
Yeah.
But it's a perfect opportunity if you want to change, to start with the foundation building, the blueprint building that we've talked about in past episodes and stuff. Sharon, you got any trips planned out for you and your family?
Always.
Are you excited?
I have a couple. I am. I love it. I do. And they are good sports about it, and they're pretty much up for whatever happens to come along. So it's awesome.
Awesome. Are you going to Cuba?
No. President Trump had to close the borders
because
all those little sanctions that happened back in June. So we did have to table that, and all the people that were going along too are just going to the Caribbean, different cruises. And once Cuba reopens, if that ever happens, I've got a group ready to roll.
I knew
they
that
was
was
excited as I was.
Yes, I knew that was an option, but I didn't know the changes in that. And
yeah, and that's another aspect of travel. You really have to stay on top of current events. It's an ever-changing business.
I bet so. Well, how can people find you, Sharon?
I'm on the web at letsgotravelwithsharon.com. I'm on Facebook with the same name, and Instagram as well. Or, they can always call me if they, want to do it that way. Sometimes that is the most direct and easy connection to get all the info.
All right. Well, I'll have links in the show notes for all your contact information so that people can get a link right to you and follow you. I love your Instagram feed. That's where I'm at most of the time. I do see Facebook because I know that you do my Facebook stuff for Scrivener Solutions, but I am in there and I admire what you do. But I love seeing the pictures of Instagram, and very proud of you on how you have built your website and go through on doing your thing. I mean, it's awesome. Very proud of you.
Thank you.
Very excited.
Thank you. I appreciate your time with me.
I do hope you enjoyed today's show. I certainly did. I always love talking with Sharon. And you may or may not have interest in growing your own travel agency, but I sure do hope that the show sparks some enthusiasm and some interest that you too can do it. You can create and grow your own business and use the internet to create the freedom you desire in your life. And heck, you may even need a travel agent as you grow your work from anywhere business. And when you find a great one, you gotta have them on speed dial. Is that even a thing anymore, speed dial? I don't know. But all I know is that Sharon is on my favorites list so that I can quickly dial her. Now, if you found this episode helpful, I would be honored if you would subscribe to the show. And be sure to go to GaylaScrivener.com and check out all the show notes for episode number 77, where you'll get all the resource links. Until next time, have a fantastic week.